Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our podcast series in the category of Ancient Wisdom Demystified. Today's topic is the Tree of Life in Mythologies. So, Tata, why does
Yeah.
the symbol, the Tree of Life, appear in so many mythologies over the past 5,000 years?
Yeah, the tree of life was a symbol in folklore, in culture, and fictions to represent a more deeper spiritual meaning. It was a spiritual symbolism of immortality and fertility. That was the reason why
Hmm.
they had used a tree of life, because for them the tree was the longest living entity, much more than man. So that was used as a symbol of immortality. Yeah.
Nice. So, what was the actual historical background of this tree? Like, we saw that, Sumeria had like this kind of culture.
Yeah.
Like, so did it start at that kind? Did it start then?
Yeah, Sumerian and Akkadian culture and spirituality dates back to about 3000 BCE. Yeah, so in ancient city of Urartu, the tree of life was a religious symbol and was drawn on walls, fortresses, and also carved on the armor of warriors. This was the Akkadian, culture. Then you have the Epic of Gilgamesh. Remember, we talked about it some time back. 2500 BCE it was written, but it was much more earlier spoken and transmitted. There, you remember that one of the tasks which is Enkidu and Gilgamesh accomplish is to defeat the monster Humbaba, who is guarding the cedar forest. Cedar forest was the house of gods, was the abode of gods. And so when he cuts down the trees of the cedar forest, he commits a very big crime. So the
Hmm.
god wants to take revenge. Finally, when he goes ultimately to Upanishad to seek the knowledge of immortality, he comes across a plant which is given to him. The branches of the tree of life in Akkadian Sumerian culture was represented as a extremely balanced. You have the tree trunk, and on each side you have the branches, and we have in each branch one leaf, and one leaf at the apex of the branch, which is actually a symbolism which later on came into the Kabbalah. You will see that one. And servants, two servants stood on the left and right hand side of the tree guarding it. This was the actual meaning of taking care of the immortality in human beings, which is hidden, but which is a very big fact, which has to be realized through inner spirituality.
Hmm. Nice. So, Tata, how did this symbol geographically spread to all these other regions in the Middle East?
Yeah, if you look at it, probably you know the story of Abraham. He went from Ur, which was in Sumeria, towards what is the present day Israel. So probably one of the earliest religion or spiritual tradition was Zoroastrianism. The Avestan literature, which is the main literature of Zarathustra, in Zoroastrian legends, the Homa plant, which we call Soma plant in India, is a healing property when eaten and gave immortality to resurrected bodies of the dead. So this is how it went to now the Middle East, and from there it spread
Okay.
to other places.
Okay. So, how did it it spread to Europe and Asia as well?
Yeah, yes. Like, for example, you have in Norse mythology, you have the
Hmm.
Yggdrasil, the great
Yeah,
tree.
Yggdrasil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yggdrasil is an immense ash tree that is center of the cosmos and considered very holy. The gods go to Yggdrasil daily to have a meeting, to have their assembly, and then
Hmm.
the traditional governing assemblies are held around this particular tree. The branches of this tree extend far into the heavens, and the tree is supported by three roots that extend far away into other locations. This was actually a symbol of how the microcosm and the macrocosm are connected.
Hmm. That's the.
Yeah,
So we saw in the previous episode regarding the profound meaning of Genesis.
yeah.
So can you amplify the influence of it in like Judaism and Christianity?
Yes, in Hebrew and Christian tradition, you remember starting with the Genesis, the Garden of Eden, you have the tree
Hmm.
of life and the tree of knowledge.
Yeah.
Tree of knowledge is the one where Adam and Eve were tempted. But the tree of life, God had given man full permission to eat from the tree of life because it gave him immortality as long as he was in the Garden of Eden. But
Hmm.
the moment he ate the tree of knowledge, the duality of thinking set in and he separated himself from the immortality. He became a lesser conscious being. That is what is the meaning of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge in Genesis. Also in
Okay.
Kabbalah, which is a ancient Jewish mysticism, you have the tree of life, which is represented by various levels, or what they call the sephirots, the vessels. And this is where the Ein Sof, the absolute divine, the endless one, descends into creation to the lowest level of Malkuth through various stages. The lowering of consciousness from that level, from the top of the tree down to the roots. So this was the symbol that was used in Jewish mysticism.
Hmm. Okay. Nice. So, what about Vedic spirituality?
Yeah, in Vedic spirituality, Kathopanishad is one clear example. You remember in that particular story is about how Nachiketa, who is given by his father to Yama as a sacrifice, as the ultimate sacrifice, goes and waits for Yama. Yama is not there, so he comes back after 3 days and gives him a boon, to ask him for
Hmm.
three boons. And one of the boons that is explained by Yama is talks about the eternal Aswatha tree. What is the peculiarity of this tree is the roots are up in the heavens, the branches are down below in the ground.
Hmm.
So the root cause of all things, root cause is Brahman.
Okay.
Brahman, the essence of Brahman is from where all the branches come. All the branches branch out because the absolute Brahman takes, his existence in the manifested world through the branches. This was the meaning of this particular Ashwatha tree in Kathopanishad. So you have this symbolism also in Vedic philosophy or Vedic spirituality.
Nice.
Yeah,
So, Tata, how can we use this knowledge of the symbol in our lives?
yeah. The symbol in our lives is the immortal essence of divine in the manifestation. Because
Hmm.
if you really deeply go into our own being, our own soul, our own Atma, it is actually nothing but a reflection of the divine. That's why we see that in Christianity we call man is created in the image of God. The meaning is not the physical image, it is the spiritual image. The spirit that resides in our body, which gives us life, is essence of the divine that is there. This is what is there from the tree symbol. So the roots, the branches are all one, the trunk are all one. So they are basically one and the same in different forms. This is what is to be understood when you really deeply look at the tree of life. And that is why the great Alexandrian mystic or philosopher said, Hermes Tris Majestus. He said, as above, so below. A beautiful concept which is useful today also because we find that we are nothing but this manifested world is nothing but a reflection of the cosmos. If you look at the cosmic structure, it looks very much like the neurons in your brain.
Hmm.
So you find that more and more we go into science, we find that spirituality is nothing but trying to understand in a much more deeper way who we are and what we are. So the human chakra system, for example, we have the seven chakras,
Yeah.
right from Muladhara to Sahasrara chakra. Now the ascendance of the chakras, the energy level through all the chakras, energizing all the levels, is actually through the nadi, the branches. There are two nadis which are called the Ida nadi and the Pingala nadi, and we have the Sushmana nadi which is in the center. This is like the central pathway from the base root to the topmost level. So when you do deep
Hmm.
meditation, and concentration and mindfulness, you actually make it ascend. So this is a representation of what the tree is. The tree is nothing but it takes all the energy from the roots and send it to the branches. Here, just think of it as a reverse way of the roots are the essence in which you have life. Unless you
Hmm.
take life from there, the branches with all its photosynthesis and all that cannot survive, because you need photosynthesis, but more than that,
Yeah.
you need the nourishment, all nourishment that comes from the roots. This is what is the meaning of a tree of life. So
Hmm.
what is the true purpose of life? In conclusion, we should say that the true purpose of life is nothing but to elevate ourselves constantly from the lower level to the higher level. As you take the energy from the roots to your topmost level. So this is what is the meaning of tree of life. And I think this has been a very nice sharing. I think
Yeah.
let's conclude that, and we will meet again with another topic next time. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
All
and
right. Thank
bye.
you.
All the best.
Bye bye.
Bye.